Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going to jump right in and really focus on an actor whose career, I think, is just a fascinating example of like successful comedic branding. We're talking about someone whose face, you instantly recognize. But maybe his biggest achievement wasn't becoming a huge star, but more like mastering one very specific, very marketable character type.
Yeah, absolutely. Our mission today is really to dig into the career of Robert Anderson Huebel. He navigated the whole comedy world by being, well, consistently and frankly, brilliantly unlikable on screen.
Right.
It's this amazing path, really. He went from wanting to, work in an ad agency, sell you stuff, to being that guy on screen who just makes you want to like throw something at the TV sometime.
And that's exactly what grabbed us for this deep dive, that specific recognition he got for this niche. We found this description cited from Entertainment Weekly, December 2022.
Oh, yeah. What did it say?
It called him, like, completely seriously, the premier D-bag character actor of his generation.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a title.
Isn't it? It says so much about how consistent he was, how successful he was in that lane.
It really does. It's like the highest possible praise for the lowest possible character type,
Totally.
So, yeah, we're going to trace how this guy, born June 4th, 1969, managed to not just play this role, but kind of institutionalize it across sketch, improv, TV, everything.
So to really get it, we need to go back, start with that shift he made from like a pretty structured path towards something else entirely.
Exactly. Let's unpack that. The move from marketing to improv.
Okay, so basics first. Where's he from?
He was born in Alexandria, Virginia, grew up there, went to Annandale High School.
Right, and then college.
Headed south to Clemson University in South Carolina.
Okay, Clemson. And this is where it gets interesting, right? Because he wasn't studying acting or anything like that.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
This is where the path really takes a turn. He studied marketing. Yeah. His original ambition, his goal, was totally corporate. Advertising. He wanted to be the guy crafting the pitches, the branding.
Yeah.
The whole communication strategy thing.
That marketing background feels so important now looking back. It's kind of perfect, isn't it?
It really is.
Why do you think that specific training, identifying what people want, finding market gaps, helped him so much in comedy later?
Well, I think, character comedy, especially the kind he does, it's almost like market research in a way.
Huh. Explain that.
When you study marketing, you learn about demographics, target audiences.
Yeah.
This is key pain points. What annoys people? What are the universal frustrations?
Okay.
And that D-bag archetype that Huebel just perfected. Basically, the embodiment of a modern pain point, right?
Yeah.
That overly confident, maybe kind of toxic authority figure we all run into.
Yeah, definitely.
So his marketing degree probably gave him this like disciplined way to see that gap in the comedy market.
Yeah.
And then he branded himself to fill it over and over again. It wasn't just about being funny.
Yeah.
It was like product differentiation. He became the go-to product for that specific comedic need.
That makes so much sense. He didn't just stumble into playing the jerk. He kind of engineered the perfect jerk for the kind of comedies being made.
Pretty much.
But the actual change, the pivot point, was when he moved to New York City and started taking classes at UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade.
Right, the legendary UCB Theatre. And here's another interesting detail from our sources. He was 27 when he first started doing improv there.
27. That feels maybe a little late to start in comedy, especially in New York.
It can be seen that way, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people jump in right out of college, like early 20s. But I actually think that might have been an advantage for him.
How so?
Well, he wasn't coming in totally raw. He had some professional experience, maybe a more disciplined approach from, thinking about marketing and producing. Just a more kind of adult perspective, maybe?
Yeah.
Rather than just pure 21-year-old chaos energy.
Yeah.
And that slightly older viewpoint, it probably helped him nail those like jaded, slightly world-weary authority figures he plays so well.
That more sort of business-like approach seems to show up early on, too. Even before he was really known for acting, he was working behind the scenes, in production.
Exactly. He did have those early acting bits,
Yeah.
Sketches on Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and he was in a few episodes of the actual Upright Citizens Brigade TV show back in like 98, 99.
Right.
But the producing stuff, the non-acting roles, that really shows his early discipline, I think. He wasn't just, waiting tables between improv sets. He was actively producing television.
Like what?
Well, he got an Emmy nomination as a producer for Michael Moore's show on Bravo, The Awful Truth.
Seriously, an Emmy nod for producing.
Yep. That was for about 12 episodes around the year 2000. That's, high-stakes documentary TV production, not fluff.
Wow. That is a rigorous environment. Making documentary TV, especially something like Moore's Stuff or news comedy, it requires so much precision. Deadlines, facts.
Totally. Intense precision. Yeah. And think about how that shapes a comedian. Well, improv can be loose, chaotic.
Yeah.
But the kind of sketch comedy he ended up doing, like Human Giant or Children's Hospital, it's very disciplined. It's game-based.
Right.
Working on The Awful Truth. And then he also worked as a segment producer on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart for a bit.
Oh, Daily Show, too.
Yeah, around 2000, 2001. That kind of work teaches you timing. It teaches you how to boil things down, make sharp points fast. Every line, every cut has to land perfectly in news comedy.
Okay.
So that training probably helped him make sure his character choices, even the really absurd ones, were always surgically precise. They served the joke perfectly.
So he's got this production discipline, this precision, but he's still deep in the UCB world, that creative chaos.
Exactly. And that's where those really crucial comedy partnerships started to form. The biggest one probably being his long collaboration with Rob Riggle.
Ah, yes. Riggle and Huebel. They're kind of inseparable in that whole UCB story, aren't they?
Totally. They worked together constantly. They were in the improv group, Respecto Montalban, together. They were just always performing together at UCB. It's that real ensemble thing where the chemistry is just, everything.
And they were clearly seen as a unit. We found this great little detail. They actually auditioned for Saturday Night Live together.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, for the 30th season, around 2004, 2005, Riggle got hired. Just for 1 year, but still.
Right.
Huebel didn't get cast then, but just the fact they auditioned as a duo, that they were considered package deal material for SNL, that says a lot about how strong their partnership was perceived back then.
Definitely. And it wasn't just about trying out for big shows. They were creating their own stuff. Really strong live work. Their main thing at UCB was this two-man show called Kung Fu Grip.
Kung Fu Grip. I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it ran for a long time. It was a big deal at UCB. And it wasn't just a local hit either. It got showcased at the HBO Comedy Arts Festival in 2004.
Okay, so major validation.
Huge validation. It showed they could carry a whole show, just the two of them, and that their comedic rhythm worked on a bigger stage.
And you see that whole UCB network starting to move together into other projects around that time. It really was like this collective engine.
For sure. They popped up together in that documentary Super High Me. And Huebel was in that mockumentary Blackballed, the Bobby Dukes story.
Ah, yeah. Who else is in that?
He played a character named Sam Brown, but it also had other UCB folks like Rob Corddry, Paul Scheer. It really felt like that whole community was starting to break through into the mainstream together.
Yeah.
And that tight-knit group, that whole UCB ecosystem, it led directly into some of the shows that really defined that era of alternative comedy on TV. We're moving into his big ensemble breakthroughs now.
Okay. And the first huge one, where he was right at the center as a creator, writer, and star, that has to be Human Giant.
Absolutely. The MTV sketch show. Iconic. He's an executive producer, a writer, and obviously an actor.
And who were his partners on that?
His co-creators were Aziz Ansari and Paul Scheer, also straight out of that UCB scene.
Right.
And Human Giant wasn't just, random sketches. It felt like a real distillation of that UCB style, that game of the scene, improv thinking, but translated for TV. Fast-paced, kind of surreal.
Very high energy.
Yeah, high energy.
Yeah.
And often built around these characters with just intense but totally misplaced confidence.
Yeah.
Which is, the early version of that classic Huebel D-bag persona starting to form.
Oh, definitely. And he was brilliant at those characters. Super awkward, but acting like they own the place. You got to mention Samir from the Shutterbugs.
Oh, classic. The ultimate oblivious, self-important guy trying way too hard to be cool.
And T.C. Everwood from the Quell Tickle sketches.
Yeah.
Just that intense commitment to the absolute absurdity of it all. Hilarious, but also kind of sad.
Yeah, those roles really showed his range within that type.
Yes.
Physical commitment, the voice work, all the tools you need for great character acting. But the show that really cemented him, gave him that signature long-lasting role, that was Children's Hospital on Adult Swim.
Ah, yes. Children's Hospital. The medical show parody. Co-starring with another UCB guy, Rob Corddry.
Right. And he played Dr. Owen Maestro for, get this, 79 episodes.
Wow, 79. That's a long run from 2008 to 2016.
Yeah. And crucially, again, he wasn't just an actor for hire. He was a writer on the show, too.
Which means he had a hand in shaping that character, the tone.
Exactly. He had ownership.
Yeah.
And Dr. Owen Maestro, he's like The archetype perfected.
Yeah.
The absolute parody of every serious TV doctor trope.
Totally. Overly dramatic.
Completely self-aggrandizing.
Nothing kind of misogynistic.
And just, like, loved by absolutely no one but himself. But the comedy is just the sheer level of his incompetence mixed with his absolute rock-solid belief in his own genius. It's the perfect showcase for the Huebel brain.
It really is. And that character was so strong, so central, that he brought him back for the spin-off series, Medical Police.
Right. Appeared in all 10 episodes of that in 2020.
Hmm.
Just shows you Dr. Maestro's specific flavor of arrogant idiocy was essential to that whole world's comedy DNA.
What's cool, though, is even while he's building this big TV career, becoming known for these produced shows, he stayed connected to the live comedy scene.
Yeah, that's really important, I think. He kept performing regularly at the UCB Theatre in LA.
Yeah.
Still does, I believe. That dedication, it stops you from getting rusty, you know? Keeps that improv muscle strong.
He co-hosts that live sketch show Crash Test with Paul Scheer. They do it like twice a month.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
It shows that those partnerships are still active, still generating new stuff constantly. And Crash Test was successful enough on its own that they made a TV movie out of it in 2015.
And let me guess, Huebel was a writer and executive producer on that too.
You got it. He clearly understands that live performance feeds the development process. It's where ideas get tested.
But there's another live project he does that sounds unique, really gives you insight into his whole comedy brain. It's called The Shit Show.
Ah, yes. The Shit Show. It's brilliant. It's not just stand-up. It's almost like performance art about failure.
Okay, tell us the concept, because it sounds amazing.
So Huebel hosts it. And he gets his comedian friends, and these are often really well-known, successful people, to come on stage and present the worst scenes they have ever done. From movies, TV, commercials, whatever professional work they regret the most.
Wow. So it's like a public airing of your failures.
Exactly. It's a celebration of the creative misfire. Think about the confidence, the lack of ego. You need to voluntarily get up and show people your worst work.
That's genius. Because the second you perform your failure like that, you own it. It takes the sting out.
Totally.
It becomes comedy gold instantly.
Totally. It's like the ultimate UCB yes and
Yeah.
approach, right? Even if the and is this commercial I did was a complete disaster. It turns professional embarrassment into relatable comedy, which is a skill anyone who takes risks needs. Okay, so now we got to really focus on the main pillar of his career, right? The thing that Entertainment Weekly, quote, nailed. The consistent, almost surgical deployment of that D-bag character persona.
Right. His whole success is built on being the most reliable guy you can cast when you need someone the audience is meant to instantly, like, distrust or dislike, or maybe even pity a little.
Exactly. Let's try and break it down a bit, maybe thematically. Not just listing roles, but thinking about how he plays these types, connecting it back to that branding idea.
Okay. So one big category seems to be, like, the corporate obstructionist. Or maybe the petty authority figure.
Yeah, I like that. Characters who just embody minor bureaucratic tyranny. Like, his role as John Calabasas on The Goldbergs. He was in like 11 episodes of that, plus he came back for the spinoff, Schooled.
What was that character like?
Just the classic kind of clueless middle management type who thinks he's way cooler and more important than he actually is.
Yeah.
And Huebel has this specific physicality for those roles sometimes. Shoulders back, chin maybe slightly up.
Yeah. Projecting that false confidence.
Right. It instantly signals, I think I'm important and I'm probably going to waste your time.
You see that same kind of energy in those quick guest spots, too, where the character needs to create immediate low-level friction, like Glenn Whipple on Modern Family or Landon Lawson on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Exactly. Those characters just walk into a scene and throw off the balance just by being themselves, usually by being really annoying about some minor rule or just their own inflated sense of status.
And sometimes there's this, like, detached quality to it, too. It's not always big and loud.
Right. Like how he played Gary on Blackish over a few episodes, or Officer Chandler in the movie The House. It's often not broad comedy. It's the quiet, self-satisfied smirk that really gets under your skin.
Okay, so that's one type. What's another major category for his de-baggery?
Well, there's the romantic or social obstructionist. You know, the guy who's in the way of the main character's happiness, the one the audience is actively rooting against.
Okay. The prime example here, the one everyone probably remembers, has got to be AJ from The Office.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Holly's boyfriend for those few episodes. Perfect casting.
Why was he perfect?
Because AJ needed to be just. Plausible enough as a boyfriend, right? And not a monster, but also just irritating enough that you were desperate for him to be gone so Michael and Holly could finally get together.
Yeah.
And Huebel played him with this, like, accessible but subtly superior vibe.
Yeah.
The kind of guy who quietly corrects you or explains things you already know.
This subtle mansplainer.
Kinda, yeah. And he thinks he's winning just by being calmer. It's infuriating.
And he did a similar thing, maybe a bit more overtly annoying, on How I Met Your Mother as Wade Flanagan. Another guy designed just to be a temporary roadblock for the main characters' relationships.
Exactly. And the skill in Huebel's performance is that he makes these guys believable. They're not cartoon villains, just recognizably annoying people we've all met.
Okay, so petty authority, romantic obstructionist. What's the third big bucket?
I think it's maybe the most common one for him. The pervasive authority figure. Often playing on his look to suggest a kind of, like, privileged entitlement. This is where that marketing background seems to come back, and these roles often involve sounding smart, using jargon, being aggressively confident.
Okay, give us an example.
Well, his role as Len Novak on Transparent, that was a recurring role, 28 episodes, on a big Amazon Prestige show.
Right.
And Len Novak is all about confidence and control tied directly to his money and social standing. He just embodies that specific type of casual, often unintentional male insensitivity that comes with privilege.
And similar vibe on The League, he played Russell, who later became Dr. Duramo.
Yeah, exactly. Over 10 episodes there. And shows like Transparent and The League, they love characters who are flawed, morally gray. Huebel comes in and provides that specific shade of masculine self-involvement. He's like the catalyst that brings out the main character's own bad behavior sometimes.
And it's amazing how he keeps translating this archetype to new shows, new settings. Like on The Sex Lives of College Girls, he's Mr. Murray.
Right? 8 episodes of that so far. He takes that same slightly inappropriate, overconfident guy who maybe uses too much jargon and drops him onto a college campus. It proves the trope is basically timeless. He just adapts it.
That adaptability, that consistency,
Yeah.
it makes him invaluable, right? Casting directors must just think, okay, we need that guy, call Huebel.
Pretty much. They know exactly what they're getting. A character who walks in, says maybe 2 lines, and instantly establishes himself as the annoying obstacle in the scene.
Speaking of instant impact, we have to talk about some of those brilliant one-off guest roles that just cemented the whole image, like 30 Rock, the MILF Island host.
Oh, perfection. That is the absolute peak expression of the archetype, maybe.
Aye.
Because the MILF Island host is everything rolled into one. He's super slick, artificially enthusiastic, seems totally morally bankrupt.
Yeah.
And yet completely, 100% committed to the insane premise of this fake reality show. Huebel just nails that empty, hyper-professional vibe of reality TV hosts who are, like, encouraging terrible behavior while acting like your best friend and boss at the same time.
That ability to capture those small, pervasive annoyances, it even carries into his voice work, right? And that weird PSA stuff.
Totally. Voice-wise, he was the anchor man in Despicable Me. He's done a bunch of characters on Bob's Burgers over 12 episodes, Gray Diamond on Axe Cop, Mr. Lizer on Big Mouth.
And what do those characters usually have in common?
Often they have some kind of annoying status, or they wield some minor social power in an irritating way, even as a voice.
With the PSA thing, that's wild. Tell us about that.
Right, this is the deep cut that proves he knows what his brand is and leans into it. For years, he played the inconsiderate cell phone man in those public service announcements they show in movie theaters.
No way! The guy taking the call during the previews.
That guy. He was the face of the single most annoying person you could possibly encounter in a cinema. It's like meta-level debaggery. He deliberately took on the role of the public nuisance for our collective annoyance.
That's amazing. Okay, so let's quickly touch on film, because this persona shows up there too, even in tiny parts, right? From the start.
Oh, yeah. Way back in 2002, he had an uncredited role in Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine as a corporate criminal.
Wow. Uncredited, but already typecast as untrustworthy establishment.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And just continues. He's Tevin Downey in I Love You Man in 2009, Officer Watson and the Other Guys in 2010. Even when the role is just called Sleazy Doctor, like in Little Fockers.
Right.
You know exactly the flavor they hired him for. It's built around that Huebel brand.
And it keeps going in big comedies. Pinkberry Executive and Horrible Bosses 2. More recently, a producer in You People just last year.
Yeah. These aren't just random parts. It feels like strategic casting. They need that specific energy, that foil, to make the scene's comedy work. And he delivers it every time. You know, he's incredibly prolific on screen, obviously, but he's just as active off screen, especially in things like podcasting, which, for someone with his improv background, Makes total sense. It keeps those skills sharp.
Yeah, podcasting seems like the perfect place for that UCB mentality, right? Just constantly generating material, playing characters.
Totally. He's been on comedy, bang,
Yeah.
bang, a ton. Often playing recurring characters like Dave Grigsby or Larry Jetsky. It's a format that lets him just invent new weirdos constantly. Keeps his character work really flexible.
And he had his own scripted podcast, too, didn't he?
Yeah, on Earwolf,
Yeah.
Mike Detective, a whole narrative comedy series, which shows, he can carry something complex just with his voice and writing. Plus, he pops up on web series like Guest Grumps or Good Mythical Morning. Just always collaborating, always putting stuff out there. Feels like the lifeblood of that UCB world.
What's also interesting is how the success he's had as a performer seems to have fueled his ambition as a producer and director again. He's not just acting anymore, he's creating the whole project more often.
Right. This is where it all comes together, isn't it? The marketing student, the Emmy-nominated producer from way back, and the established character actor. He worked a lot with Funny or Die presence, acted in it, sure, but also wrote and executive produced 13 episodes. He learned how to make that short-form, high-impact digital comedy work.
And then he created his own shows.
Yeah. He created, wrote, and executive produced Do You Want to See a Dead Body? That ran for 15 episodes, kind of taking that mockumentary confrontational comedy style even further.
Okay.
And even more involved was Drive Share. Only 6 episodes. But he was the creator, writer, director, and executive producer on that one.
Wow, wearing all the hats.
Yeah, it really seems like he thrives when he has that full creative control. He can build the whole comedic situation from the ground up, define the characters, the tone. It shows he's not just waiting for roles that fit his type, he's actively building the comedy worlds he wants to play in.
And all that work, that respect within the industry, it even led to him co-hosting the Critics' Choice Awards TV special back in 2012.
Right. So he's this respected industry insider who just happens to be best known for playing the most annoying guy in the room.
It's a great balance.
It really is.
Yeah.
And that ability to straddle both worlds, the producer brain and the specific character-actor brand, that's probably key to his longevity.
Yeah.
He understands why the D-bag character is structurally necessary in a comedy just as much as the audience enjoys hating him. So he can pick the roles that use his brand perfectly.
Okay, so we've spent all this time building up this image of the character, right? The hyper-confident, maybe kind of abrasive, definitely self-involved, professional persona he plays so well. But now we need to talk about the other side, because the deep dive sources also give us this necessary contrast. The reality of Rob Huebel's personal life seems incredibly different, a world away from those characters.
It really is a profound difference. It grounds everything, I think. He's married to Holly Hanular, and they have a daughter, Holden, born in 2016.
Right. And the circumstances around her birth, it sounds like it was an incredibly difficult time.
Extremely difficult. The sources detail this period of just immense struggle, immense fear. Holden was born really, really premature at just 26 weeks.
26 weeks. Wow. That's what, like 14 weeks early?
Yeah. A full-term pregnancy is around 40 weeks, so born that early.
Yeah.
It means immediate, intensive medical care is needed just for survival. The odds, they're scary at that stage.
God.
And the reality for them was just staggering. She spent the first 117 days of her life.
117 days.
Yeah, almost 4 months in the neonatal intensive care unit, the NICU.
4 months in the NICU. Just the constant stress, the anxiety of that day in, day out, relying completely on doctors, nurses. That's got to be the absolute polar opposite of the kind of insulated, self-absorbed world his characters usually live in.
Totally. That D-bag character is defined by, like, a lack of empathy, right? An inability to see beyond his own little bubble of concerns.
And here he is, living through this incredibly vulnerable human experience.
It makes you think about the kind of resilience you need for this job. To be going through that, the hospital environment, the constant worry, the long, uncertain road.
Yeah.
And then you have to show up on set and deliver a performance as, say, Dr. Owen Maestro, arguably one of the most narcissistic, self-centered characters imaginable. That requires extraordinary compartmentalization. Incredible focus.
It really brings that producer discipline back into focus, doesn't it? That idea that no matter what's happening personally, when you're on set, you hit your mark, you say the line, you serve the comedy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He must have this level of, like, emotional control that is just the complete opposite of the characters he's famous for playing.
It creates this huge distance, doesn't it, between the performer and the performance?
A massive distance. Those characters he plays, they're safe for us to laugh at, to mock, because they're fundamentally superficial, right? They care about status or money or winning some petty argument. Meanwhile, The actual guy playing them was dealing with the most profound, basic realities of life and death, stripped of any professional status, just focused on the most fundamental human things.
Yeah. That contrast, it really elevates him beyond just being a funny guy who plays jerks well. It shows that the arrogance, the smugness, the self-importance, it really is just a performance. An expertly crafted performance by someone whose real life is grounded in, deep empathy, resilience, vulnerability. It makes the premier D-bag surprisingly human. Hashtag tag outro. So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. Synthesize this whole journey. When you look at Rob Huebel's career, it's not just a random series of roles, right? It feels like this meticulously built system operating on two tracks at once.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Track one is like the foundational guy, the UCB improviser, the Emmy-nominated producer, the guy who collaborates constantly with Riggle, Shear, Ansari, Cordry, building the infrastructure for these ensemble shows, fostering talent. That's the track that provides the discipline, the control, the creative engine.
Okay, track one, the builder, the collaborator. What's track two?
Track two is the brand. The ubiquitous, instantly recognizable, highly effective D-bag character actor. This track uses that marketing insight we talked about to perfectly fill a specific niche in the comedy market. He became the essential ingredient, the necessary foil for seemingly almost every hit sitcom or comedy movie of the last, 2 decades? From The Office all the way to the sex lives of college girls.
Right. And that Entertainment Weekly quote suddenly makes perfect sense. The premier D-bag character actor of his generation. It's not just a funny line, it's actually profoundly accurate based on his career path.
Totally accurate. That marketing degree wasn't just about learning to sell soap. It taught him how to spot the market demand for that specific character, the slightly toxic, entitled, but ultimately funny, white male authority figure. He identified the need, branded himself perfectly, and then backed it up with incredible consistency and that producer-level discipline.
Yeah. He really proved that sometimes the biggest success isn't being the main star, it's becoming the absolutely indispensable supporting piece, the one you can't imagine the show without. Which leaves us, as always, with a final thought. Something for you, the listener, to maybe chew on.
Yeah. So think about this. We just talked about the profound personal challenges he faced, like those 117 days with his daughter in the NICU, the deep emotional reality of that. And then consider his ability to switch gears and perfectly embody these incredibly shallow, insensitive characters on screen. Does the way modern comedy works now, relying so heavily on these instantly recognizable specialized archetypes, does it actually elevate the character actor who can deliver that niche performance with such consistent brilliance?
So are we saying the success of today's best ensemble comedies might actually depend on having someone like Huebel? Someone who has absolutely mastered playing the perfect, universally understood antagonist with total, unwavering professional precision.
It's a question worth asking, I think. Next time you're watching something, and that character walks in, the one designed to be instantly annoying or obstructive, just take a second. Think about the skill, the consistency, and maybe even the personal distance required to nail that role so perfectly every single time. What's the real value of that perfect foil?